Hi, Tapasya. How are you doing?
Hi, Karan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
All
Thanks for
right.
joining. Awesome,
Yes.
awesome. So it's 7:30, so we're good to go.
Hmm.
And just some hygiene checks before we get started. So welcoming everyone to the session. I assume more participants will keep getting added as we go along. As you know, in our previous alumni sessions as well as other sessions we've had, you can ask questions using the Q&A feature or the chat. And how it's going to be structured is I will be asking Tapasya maybe a couple of questions, and I would encourage everyone else who's attending to kind of, keep your questions ready and post them on the chat, and we'll be looking at them as well. So just some context, Tapasya, people who are joining are people who've say, completed their applications or are on the verge of completing their applications. So people here are very interested in, say, getting to know about the Masters Union experience. And
Hmm.
how we've been structuring these past few talks is talking about, the academic life, about the placements, about the student life at Masters Union. So that's going to be something that, we're kind of going through. But anyway, thanks for taking out, say, an hour of your time and, spending it with our prospective applicants here.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I think hoping to see some of them around the campus.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic.
absolutely.
So why don't we start with maybe a quick introduction from your end, and then we can go
Huh.
from
All right. Firstly, thank you everybody for coming in. Aditya, Akshay, Aishwarya, Ashwin, Puneet, Saloni. I hope all of you all are having a safe time wherever you all are from. To give you a quick introduction, my name is Tapasya. I am born and brought up in Bombay. I did my undergrad from Narsi Monji. I was then working in digital marketing as a consultant for 5 years, and then I joined my family business. From there, I came to Masters Union, and as you can see, D2C was a space that I am super interested in, and touch wood, it is a space that's booming
there.
massively today. So at Masters Union, I did my internship with Boat. I mean, you all must have seen the founder at Shark Tank a lot
Yeah,
these days,
yeah.
right? And so I was working with the head of growth over there. And from there, I got my placement offer at Globalbees,
Mm,
which is a D2C acquirer, basically. If you must have seen the news of late, we've just turned unicorn last week.
mm, mm,
So that's happened. So I work as a brand CEO at Globalbees now.
mm,
As a brand CEO, what do we do is we're given a assortment of brands that the company acquires, and then we are the owners for the complete P&L. So from your production planning to your sourcing to your branding to your marketing to your finances, it's all you. So that's it about me. You can shoot questions, and we can take it from there.
got it. So I have a couple of questions to start with,
Yeah.
and maybe people from the audience can keep adding more. I mean, and first I would obviously want to take you back and ask you, when you were working, as you said, you came across Masters Union.
Hmm.
So how did you come across it? And looking at it as a new business school, how did you feel that you wanted to kind of take this opportunity and immerse yourself in Masters Union?
I first read about Masters Union at Economic Times,
Hmm,
and it was very funny. My first conversation with Simran, I think, was with
hmm, hmm, hmm,
Simran,
hmm, hmm,
and I refused to believe something like this was true.
hmm,
Because why would a CXO want to spend that time, right? So
hmm,
I
hmm,
personally refused to believe, and I was like, okay, this is a sham. And because I've worked for 5 years before this, right? And I'm like, okay, this is a dream, right? If people
hmm,
who are in their industry coming and telling you, hey man, this is what's working right now,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
So I applied because I wanted to verify whether what's
hmm,
happening,
hmm,
right?
hmm, hmm,
And when I spoke to the admissions team, spoke to a lot of founders, a
hmm,
lot of the founding masters, you just realize that there are a lot of CXOs in the industry who want to give back, who are
hmm,
genuinely passionate towards teaching, who are
hmm,
genuinely passionate towards having the next generation of leaders ready, right? They
hmm,
see
hmm,
that and they want to come back.
hmm,
And I think the biggest advantage that Masters Union has in that perspective, right, that the master has the freedom to
hmm,
design a course according to what's happening, right?
hmm, hmm,
So, I mean, something like D2C, right? Tell me any other college where you can get an internship with the head of growth of a company that's as huge as Boat,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
Now that's simply because he knows I wasn't, coming up with any. any random academic knowledge. I was taught courses that were
Yeah,
made in a way that I'm aligned to what's happening in the market from day
right.
one.
And I think the thing is, Masters Union, these CXOs, they kind of come and teach what they would hire for. So they're giving that knowledge specifically to students in those classrooms that they would need in industry practice, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, they come in. You have, I mean, we had Professor Elkana coming in,
Hmm. Hmm.
in one of the terms, and he told us the ground reality that you can't do, for example, marketing from a classroom, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
You have to go on the ground, you have to do research, you have to talk to customers. Now tell
Hmm.
me any textbook in the world that actually goes and tells you that talk to customers, because
Hmm.
I've read textbooks, right,
Hmm.
and they don't. But when
Hmm.
you have a CXO coming in, he or she has seen the ground reality, and the
Hmm.
first thing they teach you is go talk, go
Hmm.
learn from the
Hmm.
ground, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So that is where I feel we will always beat any of the IIMs or ISPs for that matter,
Got
because
it.
we
Yeah,
will
I mean,
always be up to date.
yeah, I think the kind of curriculum was crafted in terms of looking at employer expectations, the
Yeah,
masters that are teaching, and what currently lacks in terms of a current business school product, as you would say. And maybe the curriculum, and we'll be getting into that conversation shortly also, is
yeah.
crafted and could have helped people from different these things. And maybe one thing I will kind of come into and getting, I mean, the question has already rolled in similar to that.
Hmm.
Um, Being from a non-tech background, you said you graduated from NMIMS.
Yeah.
This is a big question that we get from our applicants that, hey,
Hmm.
I'm from a non-tech background. How will I fare with the curriculum, especially the tech-oriented aspect at Masters Union? Perhaps you could answer that second. And at first, you could answer, how's your experience, sitting in a Masters Union classroom? How do you feel the curriculum worked for you?
So two things, right? So to answer the first question, how will you learn the tech?
Hmm.
Simple, you will learn it hands-on.
Hmm.
You will spend a lot of sleepless nights. You are going to reach out to a lot of your batchmates. You're going to ask a lot of help from your TAs, and because you are in an MBA program and you have to deliver assignments, you will learn it.
Hmm.
I can tell you this from a non-tech background. I have completed Python assignments. I have
Hmm.
worked on
Hmm.
R. I have built a Shopify site. Somebody I think
Hmm.
has just put in the chat, how was your
Drop
drop
shipping
shipping
product. Yeah.
experience?
Yeah.
So let me tell you, in 2 weeks' time, I have created a Shopify site. I have integrated it with a Razorpay API. I
Hmm.
have integrated it with a ShipRocket API.
Hmm.
And we have, so my team was the one that won the pre-term challenge.
Oh,
So we
fantastic.
did 15 lakhs of business in a matter of a month.
Oh, great. And this is before
This
Masters
is
Union
this
even began.
pre-term. Yeah, this was the
Yeah.
pre-term assignment
Hmm. Hmm.
that we had. So how do you do that? It's very simple. You don't have any other choice.
Fantastic.
The environment is so conducive for you to learn, right? Because it's not an engineering college, right? It's not
Hmm.
like there is somebody's coming with something and then somebody's coming with little less. No, the master knows um, that you are not actually going to write the Python code, that you're
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
actually going to run the R code, but you need
Yeah.
to know where is the Python code being applied. So you better have a working knowledge of what goes behind it,
Right.
right?
And
We have Professor Tushar Jarwar,
hmm.
right, who did a course, who started teaching us with stats, and
Hmm.
then also took a course on machine learning, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And there was a focus all throughout that
Hmm.
understand these systems. He always pointed it out that you will not write codes.
Hmm.
For the
Hmm.
salary range, y'all are not going to write
Right,
codes.
exactly. I mean, one point I want to add over here for people, I guess, coming from a non-tech background is, again, Masters Union is not an engineering school, as Tapasya has mentioned. We're not putting out people who are programmers. People would be at the intersection of both business and engineering and transforming business logic into engineering logic and vice versa, and be good, as those kind of fulcrum points or focal points as people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you would
and
concur with that experience.
and just simple things, right? For example, it opens your brain towards
Hmm.
what sort of tech is possible, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, just to give you a very very recent example, right? At Globalbees, I have to look at least 3 to 4 brands at the same time. Now I can't go to 3 4 dashboards and see what's happening,
Right,
right?
right, right.
Now I went to the tech team and I said, okay, go on SQL,
Hmm.
create this dashboard for me, and this
Hmm.
needs to be in this format, and
Hmm.
this is where you'll pick the data from, this is where you'll add it from, and this is how You will show it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I know that this sort of dashboard is possible, right? And he will also deliver it to me because he knows that I know that this dashboard is possible, right? I've not asked for something very fancy, but it is that clarity of thought that you get.
Got it. So kind of coming to the second part of the question was, how was your academic experience at Masters Union? Was there, and from what I know, the first initial kind of few terms are kept very academically rigorous and intensive in terms of people getting grips to the core subjects or getting grips to that. So maybe you could talk about that phase, the initial few months at Masters Union in terms of academics.
So okay. So good thing about an MBA is it starts super rigorously and it starts getting easier with time. And when I say it starts getting easier with time, is you just you start living with having 10 assignments due every time, right? So that's how it gets better. It doesn't reduce the assignment load. To start off, I'll tell you why it is important that first 2-3 terms are essentially kept academic focus, is because before the master comes in, right, there needs to be certain bases that the entire cohort is on the same page, right? That is super important. And without those bases, right, you wouldn't understand the perspective from which a master is coming from without understanding those, right? So do not take the academics lightly. The basis of your consumer marketing, the basis of your finances, the basis of understanding what a balance sheet looks like, the basis of understanding what statistics looks like is going to redefine your entire journey. If you take that lightly and say, oh, I'm only here to see what that master teaches me, that is a very wrong attitude, because Masters Union is a balance between academic rigor and up-to-date studies that the CXO gives you. But you will not make the best out of that 20 hour if you are not strong with your academic basics in across board, marketing, finance, and tech, all three.
Got it. So everyone has to be at least at some baseline or equipped to then absorb the best out, of what they want from Masters Union.
Exactly. And I mean, for example, for those of you who make it, who join, we have Professor Bhupesh, who kind of, internally teaches marketing to us. And I would any day like to sit in in hindsight, in Professor Bhupesh's class before I sit into any CXO's class, because he prepares you to ask the intelligent questions. Otherwise, you will waste CXO's time asking questions which you can honestly find on Google.
Right? So those basics you can kind of cover, and it's kind of move towards this. So what I wanted to move towards was talking about, so someone here has talked about the MUBAT and the entrance examination kind of criteria, but I'm going to ask you a more general kind of question there. How's your entire admissions process, getting applying to Masters Union and kind of getting acquainted with the system? So could you walk us through that as well?
So again, same thing, right? It's super rigorous, right? The form is super rigorous, and I think it prepares you for what's about to come, right? I would say be very honest in your essays. Okay, the interviewers, who are mostly masters, they question you on every point that you have written in your essay, that you've written in your resume. Be very sure of what you're writing. Do not faff. They've been in the industry for too long, right? Be very precise and concise in what you want to show. Karan, just to be honest, on LinkedIn, a lot of people keep reaching out and keep showing their profiles. I don't know what to make of it. What is it that you want the master to know, right? You want them to know that you are sincere. You want them to know you're ready for the course. You want to be very clear what the outcome is, right? So these three things should really come out in your profile. I think these guys would have the same question that we had in terms of the video, right?
The essays, the topics have kind of been changed, but the format in terms of submitting it either as a text-based or a video-based, that is, the option is still there.
Yeah. So again, the same question. So we had a question: if we had 100 million, where would you invest that? Really spend your time understanding. In my interview, my master actually asked me to defend this.
That position
Have
that
you,
you've taken.
yeah, so he asked me whether I have gone through the P&L of the company.
Hmm.
Have I seen the market?
Hmm.
And that's what I had answers
Hmm.
to all of those questions.
Hmm.
Instead of this brand, would you acquire this?
Hmm. Hmm.
If not this, then why not?
Hmm.
And got into the numbers of understanding that.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
be really prepared. Whatever you're writing in your resume, I would say point wise, ask questions to yourself that, okay, potentially, what is it that I would ask? And then answers to those need to be very clear. Your letters of recommendation need to be very strong, right?
I think this time we're doing letters of reference instead. So
Okay.
we'll do ref checks. See the volume of applications as compared to your batch is kind of, especially after the placement news has
Absolutely.
gone quite bizarre. So that's
Huh.
something that we're doing to curtail that thing.
Yeah. So be again there. Be very your entire story should be out there, right?
Hmm.
Because a master is going to look at 100 odd applications, and
Hmm.
how much time do you think he or she is going to spend on one application?
Hmm. Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
You should know that. And if your story is not coming out within a minute or two, there is something wrong in your resume.
Hmm.
Or everything combined should pick one story. So, for example, if I would say mine was that I was a digital marketer, I
Hmm.
am now moving towards a career towards growth and strategy. It
Hmm.
makes sense for me to come learn from masters over here because these are the aspects that they're going to teach, and this makes sense for the domain I
Got
want
it.
to go
Got
to.
it. Yeah. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. And you've given some very clear and insightful tips on number one, just looking at it as a linearity, if there's a linear or logical connection to how Masters Union fits as a black box between the input that you give it and the output that you want from it.
Yeah.
And one thing I'd want you to know is, given the expanse in applications and engagement that we're having due to, say, our popularity going up because of our placements, we've seen a lot of people applying to the Masters Union with different use cases of what they
Yeah.
want out of it. So people would be looking at it traditionally as an MBA for placements to get
Hmm.
into good companies. Some people are looking at it as ventures in terms of looking at it, how they can incubate and accelerate their own ventures while
Hmm.
learning about this. And we're also getting people who are, say, 15 to 20 years of experience. They're
Hmm.
applying to kind of look at, say, what academia is all about and kind of do it from a knowledge based
Hmm.
perspective. So that's something that I think is again a big focus, and maybe you would attest to that, is the kind of cohort and the diversity that we kind of come in with or try to have in our composition, even in our admissions process and in the
Hmm.
final class. How did you think that the diversity of the cohort added value to maybe your experience at Masters Union?
Um, so I would say that was brilliant. Compared to traditional B schools, it wasn't a classroom filled of engineers.
Hmm.
So that was the most brilliant part of the cohort, right? There was a good balance in terms of gender. There was a great balance in terms of the number of people who wanted to go into business, number
Hmm.
of people who wanted to have jobs, and there was diversity in the fields. So you had people who came from finance background who wanted to go into marketing. You
Hmm. Hmm.
had people who came from core technical background, right, who wanted to move into the creative side.
Hmm.
And because there was so much interdependency, right,
Hmm.
between everybody, uh, you become, and given the size of the cohort, right, you as cliched as it sounds, you really become family.
Hmm.
I mean, come to think of it, I mean, so I've recently moved into this house. I am still I'm sharing this house with my roommate from Masters Union.
Oh, fantastic.
We decided to take a flat together. So that is how it is. Uh,
Kind of
Almost everybody from the Delhi chapter, I think, meets on a weekly
regular basis.
basis. I mean, due to COVID, not right now, but before that, last couple of months, it's been that way. So
Awesome. That's good to hear. And
yeah.
it's a great segue to my next question, because you mentioned your roommate is talking about the student life and the student
Hmm.
experience. So, by saying roommate, you've kind of confirmed that you came and stayed in the hostel during your
Hostels, yeah.
16 months. So maybe you could talk about that aspect, not only the hostel, but like the clubs, the committees, and maybe the
Yeah.
other interventions that students have as extracurricular or co-curricular stuff that they can be a part of.
Okay. So, first thing first, right? To anyone who's coming, do not expect anything to be spoon fed to you, right? The college assumes you're old enough to be proactive at things. So if you're planning to apply to a college like this, where 10,000 things are happening at the same time, you have to be super aggressive towards getting what you want. Nobody's going to come and ask you, hey, do you want to join this club? No, you go and you pick that baton and say, I want to go join this club. And there is something for everybody. So we have a very strong marketing club, we have a strong sports club, we have a product management club, we have the investment fund where you are given actual money. I mean, the kind of portfolio investment bankers imagine that they would handle someday, right? And it's all student led. Let me tell you that, like, from my batch, Varun was the president for investment fund, right? And I've seen how they work. It's completely them. Okay, the masters who even guide them, right? They do. It's not like, it's just for a namesake that, okay, दिखाने के लिए बच्चों को पैसे दे दिए. No, it is completely student led. All of the clubs have complete autonomy in where they want to drive them, right? And when it comes to the hostel life, right? Again, even those folks who are in Delhi, NCR, I would suggest be on campus, because that is a beautiful experience. The hostel facilities were amazing. You never had to worry about the quality of the hostel, because you never had to worry about those things, you are completely focused on your academics and your commitments towards your assignments. And the best part about being in a hostel is you just knock to the next door and ask questions to the person, right? And the kind of camaraderie that you make in the hostel, it wouldn't be possible as a day scholar. So even if you are an NCR, can we bring our spouse to hostels? I have no clue.
No, we can make accommodations for that kind of stuffs, but Prateek, it seems to be a pretty specific query, so you can redirect it to, I'd say.
I don't have a spouse, man, Prateek, sorry. So I didn't have to bring one. But stay in the hostel. The hostel facilities are amazing. You don't have to worry about anything over there. Everything is taken care from end to end, from your cleaning to your food, everything. And the clubs are open for everybody, and it's a fair chance. It's a fair chance to everybody. We've seen that there's been no favoritism. I can assure you that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's, again, we see that similar with the second batch as well, which are on campus currently. They are, like, the spirit runs pretty strong that way. One thing that you talked about at maybe the start of your answer there was you talked about mentorship. That, you have access to this. And this was also a question that was asked earlier by Puneet, is how is your mentorship experience? Like, could you talk about one or two mentors that you had, and how did it help you grow?
Yeah. So, firstly, can I talk about the one-on-one mentorship program?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So, my one-on-one mentorship, I was mapped to Malvika Harita. It is, I think it's a scholarship, Malvika Harita scholarship, right? So I was mapped with Professor Malvika, and I think, for lack of better words, I would say it has changed my perspective on marketing forever, because she was the head of Saatchi and Saatchi for India for 20 years, which is one of the biggest agencies in the world, right? And we had a very systematic approach towards mentorship. So we would have a weekly call, and we would discuss where I am, not just academically, but also personally. So when just to give you an example, when I came in with a very fixed mindset. I was like, as a marketer, I want to get into HUL, Godrej, Marico, nothing else. If this is not happening, nothing is happening, right? But it was actually Professor Malvika who kind of forced me to think that where do you see is the future of consumer marketing? Where do you see it happening? Do you see those changes happening at HUL, Marico, or do you see it happening in the D2C brand? If you're saying you want to be in the consumer goods space, why is this not a space you would explore? And she would ask me difficult questions. If I was anywhere lacking behind in my academic commitments, I would have it from home, right? But at the same time, right, do not expect the mentor to come and schedule a call with you and reach out to you. No, you are going to reach, the level of the mentor, right? The mentor, I mean, for example, my mentor was the head of Saatchi and Saatchi. She has 10,000 better things to do than to see how Tapasya's life is going.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you have to be proactive, and you have to go and be like, I'm going to block your calendar for every week. This is my set of questions for you, and this is what I'm going to come with. So I would be very prepared before going into the call with her. I would always have a set of questions that I was ready with, and then I would take it from there. And please, for God's sake, do not consider the mentor as your placement agency. Do not talk to him or she कि यार इससे बात करूंगा तो इधर नौकरी लग जाएगी, or I will get placed here. Please, that is not fair. That is not a right way to look at a mentor. Right? They are giving you their time so that you learn something. And if you cannot see it, then that's not fair. No, I mean, a lot of people, I think, just assume that the mentor being the place at which they are will get you jobs.
Got it.
But you have to look at it as a lifelong this thing. Like I talk to Malvika ma'am even today when I have a problem at work or something I don't have clarity on. I can still reach out to her and be like, ma'am, this is what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say that, also depends on interpersonal skills, like your initiative. As you said, you have to be proactive to kind of do this, because I mean, people are asking about work experience and higher work experience as well. You would see that, people are not treated like children at Masters Union. Everyone is an adult, and you have to take that responsibility. And as I said, with so many things happening, you can't really span and do everything. You have to pick and choose the things that you are passionate about and kind of go ahead. I think another thing I'd like to address is that there are some questions coming about CAT and GMAT and other admission stuff. Any process or admissions related or placement related stuff which is factual, you can write to the admissions team for that. I would encourage you to keep your conversations oriented to, questions oriented to what Tapasya's experiences were like. But so kind of coming to more towards internships and placements, we have a question as well about that. So can you then talk to us about the latter phase of Master Union, where you're doing more of your industry immersion program as well as placements? How was your journey there in terms of getting prepped and then eventually going in and cracking the job?
Okay. So first thing that I'd say for placements, right, you have to be super open-minded. Which I think I mentioned, right? When I came in with a very closed mindset that this is what I want to get into and nothing else, right? But that is not good. You need to know what's happening in the market at the time where you are getting placed, and then you need to set your expectations according to that. And you have to also communicate that to the placements team. So in my first 2 or 3 terms, I understood that, okay, it's actually the D2C space that is taking up. And I made sure that my profile was very clear that I am interested in that space. And I would communicate that very clearly with the placement team. So placement team knew it for a fact that if any D2C opportunity came, Tapasya is interested in it. So for example, when Boat came in, I almost instantly knew that I'm going to get it. That is because that clarity of thought was always there from my end to the placement team that I want to get into D2C, right? Because I've seen it with a few people that they don't have a clarity where they want to go, right? One day you're coming in and saying, I want to be finance. Then you say, I want to be marketing. Then you say, no, I want to be strategy. And then you say, I want to be consulting. It doesn't work that way, right? You kind of need to choose your path a little bit early before the internship season, and then prepare your resume for that role. Whether you want to go into consulting, whether you want to go into strategy, whether you want to be in marketing, right? Communicate that with the placement teams. Again, the placement team is not going to come and ask you, hey, hi, what job do you want today? No. You go and you say, it should be stuck in their mind that if this opportunity comes, I need to reach out to this XYZ person because they fit in best, right? When it comes to the internship, the thing is, all of these internships are not the mid-management internships. If you see all of the internships in our batch, you are reporting to a particular head or a CXO. For example, I was reporting to the head of growth. I wasn't reporting to a brand manager at Boat. Okay. Now, a head of growth has 10,000 things on their platter, right? So you can't faff around. There's no time. He will just tell you, take your certificate and get lost. I don't have time for you, right? So my first call with my manager at Boat was simply this. that we had to prepare a GTM for a new product. So for those of you who don't know, GTM is a go-to-market strategy for a new product, and he wanted me to assist on that. And that was like almost 14 to 16 hours of work per day, right? And my performance over there kind of showed him that, okay, I am ready to take on bigger challenges. And once that was there, he extended my internship one and gave me 2 more GTMs to go along with that. The good thing was my courses prepared me for this internship. I was hands-on with market research. I was hands-on with Excel. I was hands-on with my numbers, and I knew how to behave when I'm working with somebody senior. I knew how to manage their time, and I knew how to manage my time. So that is something you'd have to see in your internship very strongly, because you will be reporting to super senior people. There is no internship at Masters Union that I have seen till date that is at a mid management level. It's all CXO level.
Right. And then moving towards placements, maybe you could talk about that aspect more as well.
Right. So, so my performance at the internship was really great. All of the 3 GTMs that I made was brilliant, and my manager offered me a PPO at both, and at the same time he was moving to Globalbees, so I got an offer from Globalbees as well. So I got a PPO both at boat and Globalbees, but of course Globalbees was growing more at that time, so I wanted to take up there. So I took up a PPO at Globalbees. So I had my offer, I think at June end, June 28th to be specific, was when I got my offer for joining from December 1st.
Great. And how's it been? Like, it's been a couple of months, so just talk about your experiences at work post doing Masters Union, and maybe you can take into context things that you learned at Masters Union and how they've helped at work.
So first and foremost, I think the most important thing is at Masters Union, you're taught to be you're taught how to fail, right? There are a lot of places that you are genuinely going to fail, right? Because you're going to do Python, you're going to do R, you're going to run codes on Excel as well, just by the way, right? Somebody asked if I'm an average student, can I do Excel, something of that sort, Power BI. Dude, you'll be doing projects on Power BI and SQL. So yes, you will. Right. And there's nothing, I don't understand the logic of being an average student. I want to understand what bell curve are you talking about? Average student, what is an average student really? Because if you are an average student, you're still better than other 50% of this country. So you have a great chance of making a. So I wouldn't term anybody. I don't know, how do you decide whether you are average or not? I've never understood.
I mean that kind of definition is skewed there and subjective.
So I would say at Masters you learn statistics in a way that you will know that you can't really define average. Please let me know if you figure out a method, then I would like to learn that. Things that have helped me from Masters Union. In fact, my company wants to come back for we've already been talking that how do we recruit people this year. Is you don't take no for an answer. If you've been given an activity, you do it. So I've been here for 1 month, and I am brand CEO for 2 companies, and I've had meetings with the CEO of my company, right, who runs a unicorn, and I walk into his room and I'm like, I want this resource, and there have been people who are like, dude, how are you talking like this to the CEO? And I'm like, because he's a human and I can, and I think that comes from a place because you've interacted with CXOs on a daily level,
very regular basis,
on a very regular basis. So you understand they're not people from some other planet. They are very much people like you. They've had better experiences. They've learned faster. They've grown faster. But any person at a position of power loves people who take initiative, who take ownership, and eventually who deliver. And that is something you will learn at the union, right? You will learn that the master pushes you towards that. So you stop taking no for an answer. You keep pushing. That's it. That is the most helpful thing. And secondly, the tech background really helps, right? For example, something as simple as Shopify. In today's world, everybody should know how to create a Shopify site. You should be able to close your eyes and create a Shopify site. right? So those kind of basic skills are taken care of. We had a course on digital marketing, right? Professor Siddharth Padmanabhan taught us digital marketing, right? And I mean, he had worked at Facebook before that. Right? So imagine somebody who's worked at Facebook is coming and teaching you digital marketing. And I am a digital marketer, right? So I can figure out when somebody is faffing. And I hate digital marketing courses for the life of them, because mostly it's somebody who's never worked in digital, right? But Professor Siddharth was at Facebook. He has his agency. So he came to class and he gave people access to Facebook ads library and said, okay, go create ads. So when you have to actually go create ads, you figure out the difficulties, right? You figure out these things that, okay, I need to know the audience. Okay, I need to know what CPC is, what PPC is, what a video ad is, what a display ad is. You just need to know those things. So that really helps, because all of those courses are super, super, super hands-on. Like something like Power BI, right? Your assignment is not come read a textbook and tell me what does this mean in Power BI. I created a live dashboard on COVID cases world over last year. That was the assignment that I made. Now, I mean, it's still a very functional live dashboard that is automated. So those are the things that really help. I'm not sure, Karan, if that answers your question.
No, I think does, I mean, reasonably cover it to an extent, and covers one of the other questions that were asked about takeaways from the Masters Union experience. And maybe I might ask that again and rephrase it to, let's say, the Tapasya before joining Masters Union and Tapasya after joining Masters Union. Say you had taken a different path, or maybe joined another program, or maybe another different B school. What do you think, there are any unique takeaways that you had because Masters Union had this sort of, say, non-traditional approach to curriculum, as well as kind of the other engagements that you have?
Look, Karan, I'll be very honest, right? I mean, I am from NMIMS, and I have a lot of friends who've been to ISBs, IAMs, and all of these places, right? And I can tell you for a fact that most people have from those colleges come and ask me, hey, do you think another MBA makes sense for me right now? Because I want to see the pedagogy that you have gone through, right? That's one. And I will tell you why this has changed. If you ask from my journey, is because of the size of the cohort that you have, the kind of personalized experience you get with every master and with everybody inside the college as well, right? Your in-house faculty to your in-house teams, placement teams, and everybody is super intimate, and it's super personalized to you. And that is my biggest takeaway. You go to an ISB today, you have 1,000 students, right? You're just another one in the herd, right? That's not the case here. Every person has a specific profile, and things are done to make sure that profile is brushed.
And another thing I would say is, the point that we touched on earlier about the academics as well, is that I would say it's a front-heavy MBA program, because the first couple of months are quite intense and rigorous, but after that, everyone, has the option to tailor their program the way they want. So maybe, like you compared to your friends, and maybe I'll ask you this question as well. Since you are coming in with people with someone from who has a lot of work experience, a big question we get is people who are freshers who are joining. I assume you might have had some friends who are, maybe freshers as well. So just being a part of that kind of peer group, what do you think they kind of brought to the table in terms of other perspectives, for example?
So one thing I think that happens with us when we are working, right? We kind of again start narrowing our point of view, right? So actually, it's the whole combination of having freshers and people with work experience in a classroom is really brilliant, because they bring in a super optimism about everything, right? While you bring in a certain sense of pessimism, but then there's a mid ground, right? That balances it both. So they see certain realities from us, but we go back in time and we also think about certain possibilities from them. So the freshers, the kind of energy that they bring on the table is unmatched. And the freshers that we had in the batch, honestly, I look at a lot of them and I'm like, I can't believe that this person has grown this much, right? Because I mean, I would to name a few freshers, Janisha got into Wayne, and there's Shaurya, Shivangi, all of these folks, right? They were so clueless when they came in, right? I've seen that journey from them sitting in a class and asking, how does this VLOOKUP work, and how do I open that to taking up a job at Bain, right? I mean, I've seen this firsthand, this journey. So, but again, I think all of these freshers were exceptional kids. They would, somebody like Shaurya would come with his laptop in your room and be like, explain this to me. I don't understand this. Sit down with me and take me through every single point. And you would help out, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a give and take across the ecosystem, right? Hitesh is Hitesh is one of the guys who came from Mu Sigma and had a great background in data. And I remember I was always scared of numbers. So for any data assignment, I would just walk onto his room and I'm like, explain me, what does this assignment even mean? Right? I don't understand, what does this word mean? What do I do about it? Right? And he would sit and explain, because someday I'm going to help him in a marketing assignment.
I think that kind of give and take, the kind of peer learning, that also is kind of a function of the diversity, right? Because people are coming from different backgrounds as well. So I guess we're at about 8:15, so we'll kind of wind up the session in maybe the last 2-3 questions, and then we can kind of go towards a close. Again, some people are asking more about process related questions and the essays as well. The essays are quite different this time. I should let you know, Tapasya, quite non-traditional. We've made them very, very interesting for people to answer. But yeah, you're right. In terms of it being non-traditional and requiring an approach, just in terms of essays, and I think Tapasya would concur with this, we are looking at your creativity, your communication skills, and your critical thinking skills, and how you're structuring your arguments, and if you can stand behind what you've written, essentially. So that's something that is a good kind of instruction to keep on for your essay. Is there anything, maybe I'll end with 2 questions. How about this? So the first question is there anything, as someone who's a Masters Union alumni now, you would kind of give, say, top 3 bits of advice to someone who's applying right now, in terms of, first of all, getting admission, but also kind of focusing on certain aspects to have good takeaways from the Masters Union kind of experience
from the course? Okay. So I think the takeaways that I would firstly tell you from the course, right? Set your expectations right. When you're doing an MBA, it is a 30,000 view of everything that's happening. If you already know, okay, I want to do this, then go do a master's in marketing, or go do a CFA course, or there are many specialized courses available. If you want a holistic view towards everything, then take up this college. Because you will be forced to do everything. You would want to become an investment banker, but you will have to learn how to build an app. Okay, so if be very open. Do not take academics lightly. They build the base for asking the right questions when the masters come in. Do not be entitled towards the access that you get. Be very intelligent towards how you use this access, and be very respectful towards how you use this access, because not everybody has it. You try to meet any of these people outside through this college, and let me know how many of you can actually get a meeting with them. It's not easy. These are guys who built $1 million businesses for real. They've run and they are running them for real. Do not take that access lightly. And this is not a placement agency. Please, if you think this is a placement agency, I would beg of you that do not apply. If you are in here to learn how to have a working, functional relationship for life with your cohort, with your masters, with your internal faculty, then you are doing this MBA right. If you're not having a functional relation, even a single one of them, then you're not doing this right. In terms of your admission, be honest. Even if it's an average this thing, stand by it. If you can defend it, do not faff to the master. Do not lie on your resumes. Do not lie about your experiences, and you're good to go. Great. And do not take academics lightly. That's my last word. Do not.
I think, yeah, you've repeated that. It kind of has emphasized the fact that it's a rigorous experience. Okay, so for my last question, I'll ask you kind of like a pop question or like a
Hmm.
three things kind of thing. So how about you give me your favorite class or course at
Hmm.
Masters Union? Give me your favorite professor
Hmm.
and professor or master, and then the last thing would be a favorite moment, and it could be in class or outside class or in a competition in your placements
Hmm.
wherever.
So favorite professor, of course, Professor Raghu Raman. I think I'm assuming a lot of kids must have said that. It is one of the most beautiful classes you will ever,
We've
ever,
we've
ever
got uh,
attend.
we've got Professor Bhupesh, we've got Mihir Mankad as well,
Huh.
we've got Tushar as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
Raghuraman is also a big one that we have in terms of.
So, Captain Raman is an experience in itself. He
Hmm,
will make you question every single assumption you've had about life.
hmm,
Okay, so that is one of the most beautiful things. Even if you just come to the union for that one class, please do. Uh, Brilliant guy, brilliant
hmm,
guy,
hmm,
brilliant classes. That is the master. If I have to talk about in-house faculty, Professor Nandini,
hmm,
I am a fan.
hmm,
If you ever meet a better professor than that, you let me know, because I assure you with all my heart there isn't a better professor in this country to teach you statistics.
hmm,
If you find one, you let me know. So Professor Nandini, and uh, she will start from A to Z of statistics and make
hmm,
sure every single kid in the class is on the same page.
hmm, hmm,
You will never feel dumb. You can ask the most basic question.
hmm,
Um, my favorite class would be design thinking,
hmm,
because again it questions all of your basis of assumptions. It forces you to rethink why anything was built in the first place. There's
hmm,
been one class where we discussed in design thinking, how are carts made in the supermarket, why are they of this design?
hmm,
I don't
hmm.
know, I've never thought about that before
Yeah,
coming here.
yeah.
Right. And one of my favorite if I have to talk about my favorite moment, um, I think it was when it was it was when I was getting interviewed at Globalbees, when Masters Union wasn't even known that well. I remember my CEO asking me, "Hey, can you again repeat which college is this?" That too, I had a meeting with him last to last week, and he's like, "Hey, I read the placements report, and I heard you guys are doing really well." So I think that is a really proud moment, because from not knowing that to he coming to and asking that, listen, can we talk about getting more students from this year's batch? I think that would be my proudest moment in the entire journey.
No, it's a testament to both you as well as the Masters Union
Yeah.
experience in itself. So, I mean, thank you for those three things. And
And again,
okay, go ahead.
Karan, just to add, right, that a lot of things that I do, he would be like, "So how do you know this?" I'm like, "Arey, in college we had this assignment and we did it." And that's when it hits you that so many things you've just
Hmm,
done and you don't even realize it, that it's in your back end, but
hmm, hmm, hmm,
it's
hmm.
a very subconscious thing that comes, right?
Right.
So yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Captain Raghuraman, just to point out, number one, is a huge, huge kind of figure for our students for sure. Because
Yeah.
especially I've heard the rifle class is something that is a
That was
huge kind of
beautiful. Yeah.
experience, and he does it. I think only at IIM Ahmedabad and then Masters Union, if I'm
Yeah.
not wrong, only at a couple of select colleges.
Huh.
But
He
that kind
didn't
of
get the rifle at Ahmedabad as well. The rifle was the one that was first time gotten here.
Okay,
Huh.
that must have been a complete
Yeah.
experience in terms of how to have a very non-traditional leadership class.
Classroom. Yeah.
And so yeah, and then kind of moving towards Nandini, I completely agree with you because I sit next to her, and
Huh.
so I've really got to know about her as well. So
Huh.
that's something that I think is I completely agree with you on that bit in terms of her taking over the say data analytics, statistics, and
Hmm.
making sure every student is at a certain baseline. As you
Hmm.
said, when the masters come in, our students are asking the right questions as well. And finally, just I think as you said, with your CEO kind of realizing, okay,
Hmm.
Masters Union is going back, reading the placement report, that just kind of proves the testament, because you were literally telling us about don't come here for the placements,
Hmm.
and we were literally talking about everything else apart from that. But
Yeah.
having all of those ingredients in place will make our outcomes successful anyway. So
Yeah.
that's something that I would say is a valuable information for anyone on this call to kind of to grasp. And just to kind of end things, I'd like to thank Tapasya for, say, the past 50 minutes to an hour that she's spent with us. Thanks for taking time out on a Friday, and I hope that everyone had a hopefully a very productive and insightful discussion and session with us. So thanks. I hope just some housekeeping before we end. Number one is that our admissions deadline is in under 10 days to go. So by the 23rd is when our deadline is round one for our upcoming cohort. So if you've not started your application, I would encourage you to and complete and submit it by then. I know everyone over here has, so I'll probably be going ahead with that. And yes, we will be having some more talks. We have talks with, and just to let you know, Tawasa, we have talks with Keith, with
Keith is
Jenisha.
doing it tomorrow. I know. I
Yes,
spoke to Keith this morning. Yeah, he told me
yes,
he's doing it
yes.
tomorrow. Yeah.
So,
Pooja is
so
doing it soon as
Pooja
well.
is doing it. Jenisha is
Yeah.
also doing it. So we have a lot of alum perspectives coming in because,
Hmm.
again, you guys are the best brand ambassadors or the best people to speak about
Yeah.
this kind of experience. So, it'll be great for everyone to log in, and hopefully everyone's had a good session today. So yeah, with that having been said, I'd like to thank you one last time, Tabasya,
Sure.
and sign off. Okay, thank
Yes.
you.
And folks, any questions, please shoot your questions on LinkedIn, but please be very precise. What do you want to ask? How was your journey? No, please. Because I can write an essay. Just ask me really specific questions. Whatever I can help with in terms of your admissions, essays, LORs, anything, just hit me up on LinkedIn and I will surely help.
Great, great,
All
awesome,
right.
awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
Karan. Thanks,
Tabasya.
guys. All the best
Thanks,
for that.
everyone.